Welcome back to Esoteric Home. I am Jod. It is September 17th when I am recording this. I hope you've been well. I know it's been a little bit, but yeah, I wanted to hop on. It is just like a super full moon tonight or something, so I am having some tea and there's a little bit of blue lotus leaf in there, and then I'm about to go do a meditation, but yeah, I wanted to kind of hop on and give a recommendation for something that I've done recently. So, I did a video a little while back about Hemi-Sync, and I was on wave 2. So it's kind of an 8-wave thing. It's this process. Basically, if you don't know of Hemi-Sync, it's essentially a technique where they play 2 frequencies and then it creates kind of a brainwave entrapment, creates kind of a 3rd frequency, and it's pretty cool. So Bob Monroe created it. You can look up a lot more specific stuff, but just as a brief overview, they have a bunch of other meditation tracks and a bunch of other cool stuff on their website. So if you've never been, I'm going to go ahead and put a link in the description. And if you end up purchasing something from them, I do get a small commission. If not, that's cool. Check it out. There's also a bunch of free stuff out there on YouTube that I highly recommend. So anyway, I was taking a little break from the 2nd wave, and my wife wanted to do this program that they have called Mediumship. It's a mediumship program, and essentially it uses the Hemi-Sync frequencies with the intention of making you a better medium, which is kind of like a better channel, a better connection between the unseen worlds, people who no longer have a voice, and the physical world. So my wife was like, let's do it. So we did it. And I just got done with it. I kind of wanted to give you my review. So this program, it was done by someone called Suzanne Geisemann. Now, I looked her up briefly before I did it, and I didn't listen to any of her stuff because I want kind of this to be the first impression that I got of her. Overall, I thought it was amazing. So, it's cut up into 4 parts, and each album contains a few different tracks, anywhere from 2 to 4. Each track is about 30 minutes. So, yeah, I highly recommend it. The reason that I was like, okay, I'll check this out, is I'm not necessarily focused on being a medium between, people who, the world of the dead, the spirit world, and, people who've passed on, and that's not really my forte. But there are a lot of skills and techniques, and this ability kind of covers a lot of other things that I do. I think it's helpful for if you're going to do any work with, talking to extraterrestrials, right? Extraterrestrials, any sort of angelics, spirits. If you're just looking to become a better meditator, opening up to your higher self, if you're just trying to contact your higher self, your specific holy guardian angel or something. So yeah, I gave it a go. The first album is called Mediumship, the Training Ground. So this is like the introduction. The first track is called Expanded Awareness. And as you can imagine, it is geared toward putting you into a very open, receptive, but connected state. So I, first off, was very impressed with this first track. I thought it did really well of getting you into that state, that meditative state, very quickly, kind of immediately showing you, hey, you're more than your physical body. Here's how to realize that and experience that firsthand, firsthand, very relaxed, very pleasant, very quick, very powerful. So she kind of narrates over it, and then there's spaces of silence and pauses, if you will, where there, the Hemi-Sync frequencies in the background, low, but I thought she did a very good job of explaining to you, hey, you are not this limited physical human being. That is just a part of you. You are actually this much bigger, much more amazing mystery, and kind of introducing you to that. So, wow, I was floored. Now, the second track of that album is basically called Expanded Awareness and Open Exercise. And this is a theme with her, where she'll kind of, they'll have like a pretty they'll have like a topic, a meditation where she talks quite a bit, you know, it's not too much, but it's enough. And then they'll do an open exercise where it's like, okay, we're going to take that state and now I want you to go explore. I want you to have fun. I want you to play around. So this one had a lot less talking, a lot less narration, and was basically just introducing that state, allowing you to access it. And then, okay, let's see what you do with it. So for those, you know, I definitely noticed, okay, I had, you know, stuff coming in and out. It's not particularly that I could see where I wanted to see, but I was able to see stuff that appeared to me. So I was very receptive. I was open. It'd be flashes of scenes, beings, stuff like that. And then, you know, just kind of as you get acclimated to that state, you start to kind of pop in and out, explore. At least I did. So the second one was the open exercise. So then it goes on to this track called Deep Meditation, which is kind of taking the expanded awareness state and then not much, maybe condensing it or focusing it, right? So like going even deeper into that state and kind of forming it a little bit more. So you're not just open and everything one with all. It's more, yeah, it's more specific. So that was amazing. She took kind of the state that you were able to access previously, built upon it, and, you know, puts you into a really, really nice meditative state. So obviously the fourth track then is the deep meditation open exercise, where again, you kind of are, you know, she facilitates the state in you and then allows you to kind of explore and allows your consciousness to kind of adjust to it without really too much direction. At some point, you know, for me, I noticed during the open exercises that it was a little bit, I was like, what do I do? You know, okay, well, and then after that initial, like, well, I could just kind of do anything, I focused in on something that I was trying to work on or an objective that I had. So yeah, that's the first album. Amazing. The second album was called Building the Power. So basically, you know, going from expanding awareness to deep meditation, and then how to kind of increase the focus and intensity of those states. A lot of, you know, she talks about how, you know, entering the state, you're imagining yourself in a beam of white light, like a shower of liquid light, which a lot of other systems used. I've seen that in Gallery of Magic stuff. I've seen that in other techniques where you're trying to enter into this unified state and using that surrounded by white light, whether it's a ball of protection, whether it's a stream, whether it's light moving through you. This white light is very important. She uses that as kind of as a jump off point. So building the power is really kind of sustaining that state and then allowing it to increase. So yeah, very, very cool. And then of course the open exercise, where she kind of takes this very specific state and then allows you to kind of explore it, play around, have fun. I fell asleep during this one. It is what it is. I was tired, but then I woke up right when she gently guides you back out. So I got the value, went back and did it the second time, didn't fall asleep. But something I noticed too is that they're very good at creating a specific state, naming it, and then allowing it to anchor into your consciousness, to where now if you just hear it, boom, you go into it. And the gateway process did this as well. They call it like focus, focus, you go from focus 1, focus to 10, focus 12, focus 21. And they're very good at, I don't know how they do it, but it's something intrinsically linked with your intention, that once they show you like, hey, this is what expanded awareness feels like. You can come back to this anytime you want, and all you have to do is intend to come back here. Where it's nice to have the build up and they're talking you through all these kind of techniques to help you access it. Really, now you're like, okay, in my map, I know where that is. I know where that is, and I can go there whenever I want. It's helpful to have some direction. It's helpful to have some other people anchor it in for you. But, my camera just focused on something right there in the back. Interesting. So they're very good at kind of introducing a specific altered state of consciousness and then allowing you to go there really at the drop of a dime. So we have the first album was, the training ground. The second one was building the power. And then the third, so the second album really just had 2 tracks, so it went from 4 to 2. The third album is working with your guides. And this one, this one definitely made me a little bit apprehensive. Of course, I believe we have guides and we have spirit guides. I didn't really know why. And she kind of talks about, you have at least a guide for this and a guide for this, and then a guide that oversees all the other guides and stuff like that. The first album is getting to know your team, right? And I don't know why it caught me off guard, but it turns out a lot of my guides don't look like how I pictured them looking or imagined them looking. So, and I've kind of had that experience, not even when I'm intending to do a meditation or ritual, just when I'm falling asleep, I'll see some beings that will flash in my third eye, or in the room, and they look a little bit, I don't want to say this rudely, but startling, a little bit frightening, a little bit like I would not picture my guides looking. And so there's a couple guides that I was like, oh, this is my team, I know who that is. Ooh, and so what would happen is I'd get a little startled and I'd pop back out. So it taught me again that things aren't always as they appear. And yes, I think if you ask your guides to appear in a form that's more suited to your human eye, that they would oblige you the best they can. But there was a lot of my guides that looked different than I guess had pictured them in my mind. Like, oh, I have these guides and they're all these beautiful angelic beings, and they just, some of my guides looked like very different. So, and I respect them and I love them and I would never want to insult them, but it was just an interesting, like, oh, like you might have guides that look different than what you expect them to look like. And in your infinite eternal journey as a soul, you may have met these characters that have stuck around with you and formed part of your team per se, that look different than you, and they may look like different life forms, and some of them may look scary, and to them you might look different than how you look to yourself. And that's kind of where I got hints of, okay, I appear like this now. I probably haven't always appeared like this, and I bet if you were to look at me from a different angle, from a different viewpoint, in a different light, I could appear much different to you. Almost like that exercise where you like light a candle and then you go into the bathroom and shut the door and stare at the mirror for 20 minutes, and it starts to freak you out because your face starts to change and you start to see different life forms that you've been. At least when I did, your face changes into all sorts of very almost terrifying shapes, and you can see eyes, just layers and layers of your personality showing themselves to you, and they do not always look human, and some of them are different, very, very different than anything that we have on this planet. And some of them are familiar, but yeah, so it's like that. So if your guides show themselves to you and it's a little bit unnerving, there's always, I feel like, a safety mechanism where that's just, okay, all right, I'm done for now. That's all I can take. But the more comfortable and the less you kind of get out of your judgmental, hey, this is what I expect them to look like, this is what I want them to appear to me as, the more they'll show them their true or different aspects of their form to you, and that does something to you as a human being. That, it really did to me, at least. A lot of my filters, as I slowly started to kind of let them go, let them dissolve, I was able to see things that I couldn't classify, I couldn't really label, I didn't understand, but I allowed my curiosity to be stronger than my fear, and I allowed myself to remain open to the possibility um, that another creature, another being should feel safe enough to appear exactly how they want to me. Now, this exercise is very structured. I believe it's very safe, so I don't think you're going to encounter anything that you're not supposed to when you're, communicating with these higher intelligences. However, a word of warning, there this is when it started to feel like, okay, there's people that are dead, there are people that are in the room, there's some that need help, there's some that are way too close for comfort, kind of like that Sixth Sense, I see dead people. So this is not for everyone, because I even freaked out a little bit throughout this process. The second album is increasing your connection to your team. Again, opening those lines of communication, recognizing in the past where you've been in communication that they are looking out for you, that some of them need your help too. That's the impression that I got, that some of you're there to help guide some of your guides in some ways, that some may be lost and maybe don't recognize where they are, but know you somehow. Yeah, and then the third track is communing with your guides, and this is when it kind of, whoa, like it was a little bit too much for me. And I've had experiences with extraterrestrials, angels, demons, jinn, just about, gods, goddesses. I've done a lot of work with these different beings, and it was still a little bit too much for me. Communing with your guides, because it was just a lot. It was very enlightening. It was very eye-opening, but definitely there's a little bit of a spooky factor about when you're going to start hearing the dead talk to you, or being able to see the dead, or it opens you up to a lot of different things. And if you're not ready for it, and I thought I was ready, but I still got freaked out a little bit. So yeah, definitely do it when you're ready. And I do feel like they do a good job of stating the safety and the intention and only the highest and greatest good, and all this is for your benefit, and you're not going to contact someone that you don't want to contact, and no one's going to contact you that you don't want to contact. But on that conscious level, sometimes it's still like, ooh, but then you have to kind of, oh wait, I'm judging here. I am making a decision based upon my own limited perception. And so the universe, God, source, is trying to show me something, and to be more open-minded to the possibility there are a lot of different life forms, and a lot of them appear differently, have different motivations, but we're all inhabiting this space together. And like, once you thin that veil and you can kind of peer into it, it just starts to open and expand your mind, and you start to know yourself, who you truly are better, and a little bit more about what is out there, what is in this universe, what life exists. And it appears, from all intents and purposes, that this thing is filled to the brim with all different life forms. So, okay. So yeah, that one, hey, it was very enlightening. I'm very grateful. Point in case, just make sure if you see something that you don't necessarily understand, try and ask and try and get to know, instead of judging it or immediately shutting it out. But yeah, it works. And then the last album is Making the Connection. So kind of a little bit of a recap of everything, and just kind of everything that you've learned, kind of solidifying it. Again, going through the states, expanded awareness, deep meditation, increasing the power, getting to know your guides, and just kind of forming a nice package around the whole experience. So yeah, very, very cool. I definitely like mediumship. Has not always been something that I'm very interested in. I do believe it has a lot of benefits to your spiritual practice, your ritual work, whatever it is you're trying to accomplish or learn. I think it's a wonderful, wonderful practice. The idea of like sitting around in a seance and trying to contact the dead still kind of freaks me out. And like, every time I see something like that's a little startling, I still have to like, okay, sink back into my innermost awareness and safe spot. Like, I'm at peace, I'm at one, everything's okay. This is something that I asked for. So I hope that helps. And then yeah, the last track is making the connection open exercise. So yeah, I'll definitely go back and do it. Very, very, I thought, valuable for the price. We got it for about $60. It was on sale. I am definitely going to look more into the Suzanne Geisemann, because it's clear that she knows what she's doing. Very, very skillfully done. I am going to look into her other stuff, but she's obviously an expert, obviously very, very good at this, very ethical, has a good understanding of all different aspects and how to guide someone through this. But yeah, I hope that was informative. Yeah, definitely wild. So after this, I'm gonna go do the chakra balancing one that they have, and I'll let you know how that is. And then yeah, have to get back to lots of practical magic that I love and give an update. I hope you've been well. I know I haven't been active for the past couple or few weeks. I'm considering picking a day every week and just posting. But wherever you're at, I hope you are being blessed, and I hope that the life you want is running towards you, that you're healthy, happy, and yeah, know who you are. If you like this content, if you are interested in more of the occult, esoteric stuff, or aliens, or spirituality, or all the cool stuff that not a lot of us get taught in school, like, subscribe, comment. I hope you're doing well, and I hope you got something out of this, and I look forward to talking soon.